Okay, so one of the things I want to show you with the Bellows and PEEP, and not sure if you're aware of this or not, but this is the settings where we check our PEEP. The Bellows is all the way to the top. The Tidal volume rod is up as far as it can go. Our PEEP is, or our flow meter is set at 5 liters per minute. And our PEEP is toggling between 5 and 7. It doesn't have a 6 on there for some reason, but anyway. So our PEEP right now is at 6. So when you're dealing with a really small animal, you might be saying, okay, that's just way too high. So when this Bellows is running, you should be able to run this flow meter at, say, 1 liter per minute. Now that's already dropped it 2 CmH2O. Okay, so the PEEP is now at 5 if you're going to run the Bellows like that. This is at rest, of course, PEEP. But if you want, if you have a very small animal and you don't need to use the entire 300 milliliters of the Bellows, then you can actually start ventilating at a lower position. Now I've dropped it down to the 200 milliliter position, so now we would be starting at 200 milliliters and going down towards 0 from there. Now your PEEP is actually lower. If you don't need a full 200 milliliters Bellows for the animal that you have a really small animal, you can actually start down lower. Let's say there's 150 and the PEEP is at 3. Okay, so if 150 milliliters is enough, low enough PEEP for you, or excuse me, if 150 milliliters is a small enough volume for the animal that you have, that in a PEEP of 3, you can use that. If you go down to 100 because you're doing a really extremely small animal, that is now set at 100 milliliters. So if you turn the ventilator on, it will go from 100 down to 0, and your PEEP is kind of toggling between 2 and 3, so maybe 2.5. So that's another way in which you can get a much lower PEEP. The smaller your animal, the further down you should start your Bellows, and that will give you a much lower PEEP. Because sometimes when you get to those really small animals, you want to keep your PEEP down really far. Okay, so I'm going to turn on this ventilator, and I'm going to start it up here. Let's see. Okay. Turn it down a little bit further. Okay, so now we're using pretty much the full 100 milliliters, and our PEEP is toggling between 3 and it looks like 4 or 5.